warm welcome to you, everyone, wherever you may be watching. This is Sunday Politics live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. We're gradually getting closer every day to the 2023 Presidential and National Assembly elections slated for the 25th of February 2023. Of course, we're looking forward to the day. It's definitely a day that a lot of Nigerians are anticipating. So go get your PVC because it's 26 days to the day, and you have the deadline for another week extended by INEC. Either you are trying to get fuel into your car and you're watching on your mobile phone, or you're thinking about how the Naira notes in your hands will not be stale, considering the very tight deadline that's been stipulated by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Or in your mind, you're thinking when you will get a time to get your permanent voter cards to get counted in the election of 2023. All of this hustling are very important, but there is a new twist into all of this. Today, the Central Bank Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, was in Naira in Katsina State, and he visited the President Muhammadu Buhari. And after that meeting, there was an extension of the deadline for the swap of the new notes for the old notes. I'd like you to listen to what the CBN governor said he discussed with President Buhari and the approval of the president.
From those holding illicit and stolen Naira in their homes for speculative purpose, we do aim to give all Nigerians that have Naira legitimately earned and trapped the opportunity to deposit their legitimately trapped monies at the CBN for exchange. Based on the foregoing, we have today sought and obtained Mr. President's approval for the following. 1. A 10-day extension of the deadline from January 31, 2023 to February 10, 2023 to allow for collection of more old notes legitimately held by Nigerians and achieve more success in cash swap in our rural areas, in our villages and communities, after which all old notes outside the CBN loses their legal tender status. A 7-day grace period beginning on February 10 to February 17, 2023, in compliance with Section 20, subsection 3 and Section 22 of the CBN Act, allowing Nigerians to deposit their old notes at the CBN after the February deadline, when the old currency would have lost its legal tender status.
Well, the controversy is being raging. A lot of people will say they went to the ATM machine and it's still giving them old notes. And they still have some of these old notes and queuing up. And some of the banks are opened on the weekends to collect the old notes. The CBN said about 75% or so of the old notes have returned to the Central Bank of Nigeria. That's about 1.9 trillion of the old notes in circulation. The CBN says it's expecting 900 billion more of the old notes to go back to the CBN. And so that 10-day deadline or the window is being opened by the Central Bank with the approval of the president. What does this mean? National Assembly, the members, the federal lawmakers have voiced out and they've spoken. They released a statement today after the CBN governor's statement, and are not happy with the state of things. Tonight, let's weigh in on this. A few presidential candidates have spoken. Tonight, we'll hear from two of them. The presidential candidate of the YPP, Mr. Malik Ado Ibrahim, joins us right here in our studio. Thank you so much indeed for coming tonight.
Thank you.
And we have the SDP presidential candidate, Mr. Adewale Adebayo, who joins us virtually from Lagos. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebayo, for joining us on the program tonight. Let me begin with you because you're not right here with me in the studio. What do you think is happening, or how do you assess the situation of the CBN policy? The National Assembly members are already speaking up on this almost a few hours after the CBN's announcement of an extension of deadline.
Well, there is no policy.
What is going on in the central bank is an exercise. There is no policy behind it. There was no planning. There is no definition of the stakeholder. There is no project management parameters, no timeline, no simulation done. I have been a lawyer in my private life to a number of currency producers. And I've been involved in introduction of currencies, some from paper to polymer, some from changing their polymer to better polymer, some for introducing new notes and things like that. The process is not supposed to be chaotic. The economy is a sensitive thing, and you balance it. And currency is so central to the economy because currency is the means of exchange. And the central bank is not supposed to be allowing itself to be subject to political interpretation. So even this idea of going to the president to take permission for 1 week extension, none of that is, there's a board of governors for the central bank. It's supposed to be an internal business of the central bank, and it's supposed to be done in a manner that has as its centrality the health of the economy. And if you remember the 3 points raised by the governor of central bank when he introduced the exercise, he said, one, the amount of money outside the banking system in circulation is unhealthy, and they wanted money back there. Second, he said some of the notes had expired and they kept circulating the poor quality. And thirdly, that criminals and some criminal elements are holding this Naira and using the Naira for pay ransom and other proceeds of crime. Those are the 3 objectives. And I don't know how those 3 objectives are panning out now. What people are now giving reason to is that it has something to do with the election. And I think, with due respect, for every ailment that the election has, every problem we have with the electoral system, there is INEC, there is DSS, there is the police. You don't want to give the central bank a role to play in management of elections. So I think that long and short of it is that the exercise is causing problems across the country. For rural folks, there are local governments the size of Lagos State, like the Kenya local government, like many other local governments. If you go to Geshua in Yobe State, you will not find 2 or 3 banks for that size of landmass. So people are getting anxious. People are not familiar with what the actual note looks like. There is no demonstration to the people. We've changed currency many times in this country. Remember 73, we changed from, under Gawan and Awolowo, we changed from pound to the Naira. We changed in 1984. We changed our currency several times. Under Charles Soludo and Obasanjo, we changed from paper to polymer. There has not been any trauma of this nature. So I think that apart from that was 1984, which you saw people queuing up and being flogged by soldiers and all of that. So I don't think that changing the currency should be so dramatic like this. Normally, you allow for simultaneous circulation for some time, and you put enough security features in the new currency that every stakeholder is familiar with it. And I think that exercise should be supposed to be done. So I think that here now is becoming a mixture of politics with security, with a mixture of currency control and all of that. So I think it's too much of too many things going on at the same time without the efficient. But
let me bring the YPP presidential candidate here. So give me an understanding from your own standpoint. Ms. Adewale has given us an understanding of the historical perspective and what this means for the nation, the reasons why CBN has given, but above all is the interest of the Nigerian people.
Yes.
What are your views on the situation?
I think, for me, I sympathize with all of us. There's a missing element that CBN has, unfortunately, fallen into. That's confidence. You must have confidence in your currency, confidence in those delivering that currency messaging. And unfortunately, the confidence has evaporated. You've got a CBN governor that's under attack and running from pillar to post. There's no confidence in the man. The currency is not available. There's no confidence in the currency. You have sworn up and down that 31st of January would be the day, and the last moment you change. Confidence is absolutely missing. And the fundamental element is you have to go to communities that are not cities. You have to go into the rural areas. How have you initiated that transfer? Confidence is missing. How does a man that is tendering to his flock come into the banking hall and know that the currency you're actually giving him is real or not? Sensitization, we go into an election period looking for confidence all around. We go into an election period trying to do our best to give confidence to the Nigerian people that the will of the people will be done. And I think that we've done way too much damage than good in this exercise, and this does not give anybody confidence.
The policy in itself is not a wrong idea, is it?
Badly executed, great idea. And execution is everything.
What about
if you didn't
timing?
prepare? Well, again, everything is done towards this. It looks too political. And in that, you don't give confidence to people as well. I will harbor on the idea of confidence, because in a country this big, even our neighbors need confidence. Nigeria, the Nigerian currency on the West African coast is the major currency after the dollar and the euro. We're the third. So all this money that's sitting in circulation helps us, but we're not taking it as part of our strength. It's become our weakness now. Now people are trading in the CFR. Nigerian currency has dominated the West African business community for decades.
But this will be a shock, isn't it?
Not only a shock, it will be a disappointment. And we will lose that same thing, confidence. Confidence in the Naira, confidence in the dollar. When the British are about to change and put the king's head on the currency, ample notice was given. It hasn't happened yet, but we've been seeing there's a way you let your people know that this is coming, and you give them confidence that you've got things under control. We didn't change the currency, we changed the color. Security features were not changed. Why did we go through this exercise if it was just to change it again in another 6 months?
That policy hasn't been executed.
Absolutely, and usually every 8 years, you add a little bit more element of control or security into your currency. The Americans do it, the British do it. You have various changes so that people have currency hidden, don't get the opportunity to use it as an embarrassment to your country. We see it with what happened with people like Escobar. Lots of money saved, Americans changed their currency, a lot of that's gone to waste. There's money wasted in the system. It costs money to print money. This is not the free exercise. There's minting and printing. It was so ill prepared for that we didn't change anything, just the color, and that is not enough to give confidence to the people, because you'll have all sorts of banditry out there, whether it's fake notes, and that will give lack of confidence again. I will underline this as far as we can go. We're a country that is going through so many things. As you started off, we've got no fuel, we've got no security, we've got no money in the banks, we've got no confidence. And we're going into an election period. This is a disaster waiting to happen, and I really hope that the National Assembly will push harder to make sure that this does not become something really crazy for the Nigerian people to deal with.
Let me go back to the SDP presidential candidate. From a legal standpoint, you raise the issue of the CBN governor meeting with President Buhari. In itself, is it a wrong thing to do? Does it take away the independence of the CBN?
No, the president is the head of the country. And the idea is that such consultation are policy-based consultation, like inviting to brief the president, but to say I have gone to take instruction and permission from the president to add 10 more days. That is not how to run a central bank, with due respect, because the idea is that the central bank, even though they are appointed by the president, is a professional body, and it's a body that serves the entire economy. And it's not something that looks like the idea of changing the currency, the idea of what you're doing is emanating from a political person who is the president. Your idea is that the central bank belongs to all of us. So whether it's a change of government, change of party, change of persons, the central bank should be one of those places where every Nigerian has a feeling that whoever is sitting down there looking at the long-term interest of the country. That's what I'm saying. The idea is genuflecting to the president where he doesn't need. What the president needs is independent advice from the central bank. So that's the kind of thing. It looks like the governor of the central bank should rather be working the presidency as a special advisor or something. But if you want to run a central bank, there's a board of governors, the governor and the deputy governors. Then you have the monetary policy committee. Then you have the bankers committee also. You have all these institutions that you deal with most users of the currency. President Buhari is just a salary earner. He's not the most user of the currency. He doesn't trade in anything. He doesn't buy anything. Just a public servant. So one of those who deal with billions of dollars of Naira per week, who have to handle this currency, what are the other users? What are our neighbors? What about all the other people who are stakeholders? So I don't want the central bank to look like an extension of the politics of Nigeria. That's what I'm saying. Not just for the sake of the governor who is there now, but for the sake of the institution itself. If you want to understand the central bank, go back to the days of Clement Inson, of Ola Vincent, of those people who know how to run the central bank, who know how to make sure that there is the necessary conflict between the fiscal managers and the monetary manager, which is central bank. That this dance is a delicate dance for the long-term health of the economy. It's only on this exercise.
All right. So
as I speak to you now, Malik, with due respect, is very right. With respect to confidence, the whole thing looks like a sham. Why? You want the currency to get off my hand by 31st, now February 10. When I go to my bank counter and deliver the old note, and I need to go to they will say they can't give me the new one. So when I go to the ATM is dispensing the old one still. So the whole thing looks like running on a treadmill that goes nowhere. And that is not good for a central bank.
All right. Let's look at it in this way. The policy is being made. There are people who are in charge. The authorities say this is how they want to run things. But both of you are wishing and seeking the #1 office in the land. The question is, how can the average Nigerian get eased of the pain that is likely or that is coming out of this policy? Should you be president if you were elected on the 25th of February? What would you do differently? And how do you think that, or what would you say is the solution out of what has become a quagmire for some Nigerians?
I think the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has his hands full of a lot of things that are ill-prepared for under the last moments of this administration. And I think that you've got a situation where you've really got to rethink the development of the Nigerian economy. The currency is fundamental in that. If you do not have those measures, if you don't plan, if you just shock the system, you are going to get reverberations from that shock, and we're going to see that in many other ways. There are people in the north that don't get to go to banks. They're in communities where they trade on a daily basis. Hundreds of thousands of Naira is moved to trade for their families. And the next thing you know, the currency is illegal. This is not going to be something taken lightly. And I don't believe that a set date in Nigeria works, because the communities do not get the message very quickly. I think we'll have to revisit this. I don't think this currency will stand the test of time. I think in a very short while, whatever is implemented between now and whenever the date changes to, we're going to have to revisit the currency and lay out a proper plan to ease a new currency into the market, one that is visibly different and can give confidence to the Nigerian people. Without confidence to the Nigerian people, we're going to have trading in different currencies where people are going to exchange this blue Naira for a different colored currency that's not ours, and we're going to lose the confidence of the Nigerian people and the people around us. So what are my measures? Certainly, I would not put this date within the political sphere of the 25th of February. I think that's a wrong thing. If I had the power, I would say I'd exchange this date until the new administration came in. Give the time for the Nigerian people to be able to accept this currency and have confidence in it. A confident country is a better country. And with that, Let us not, there's some measures here that we shouldn't let slip by. We have an individual that is under pressure. We see it in the newspaper, whether he's in the country, out of the country, he's a CBN governor. We don't see the Minister of Finance. It looks like it's a one-man deal, a one-man trade between me and my boss, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Where is your minister? Fiscal and monetary policy should be sitting with the President, giving the nation confidence. We're not seeing that. And there seems to be an internal battle between those two organizations. And the Minister of Finance is the boss of the CBN governor. Why isn't she present, giving us, the Nigerian people, the confidence that's needed that this currency is something that's developed wholesale by the whole government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria rather than individual?
I'd like you to perhaps anchor on the political coloration that has been drawn into all of this. Is there any implication for the election?
I think it's a good thing when they thought the process through. It was done too late. I think there's money that's been hoarded and put into the system. I think people thought that this money that they've hoarded would be able to be placed as a vote buying scheme. I think that has been short-circuited. We'll see if at the end of the day there's more extensions. The political ramifications of this could affect the ruling party. I definitely think so. And it's having other fights to fight. Fuel. What are we going to do between now and the election day? Is there going to be fuel available? Can I go and vote in areas I want to go? This is going to suppress the vote even further. Schools, we haven't heard what's going to happen. Are they going to close? Are they going to be open? This is going to suppress. We need a confident Nigeria going forward. We need a, all this infighting. The parties are abusing each other. We're not talking about policy. We're not talking about things that affect this nation. Where's the opposition? You've got people like myself and Prince Adewale on this program talking when our opposition should be there, telling the government it's missed a step. We've fundamentally lost our way in the way we treat the Nigerian people. The people in government serve the Nigerian people. We're not there to implement policy, dribble them here and there. We're running from pillar to post to fix things.
The same question I'd like Mr. Adewale to anchor on tonight. The political coloration that has been drawn into it. What are your biggest fears, and where do you think we should be going from here?
First and foremost, they are trading in doubt, suspicion of one another. It's more internal to them. What I want to do is, as an incoming president, I want to save my central bank, because the central bank is central to the health of my economy. So there are 5 steps I want to take. Number 1 is to chase the central bank governor away from anything partisan, anything political, put him back in policy environment. Do a way to get my economic team together, from the vice president to the minister in charge of finance, to the governor and the entire body of governors of the central bank, and to the leadership of the financial sector, to get them together with NASIMA, with the economic summit group, with everybody, so that everybody has confidence that this process is better for the economy. Second, I look at the quality of the money. Like I said to you, I don't see any security features, kilogram, many other things that you see in modern currency, clear windows, things like that will make the currency not to be easily counterfeited is not there. All that use of crayon to color the money is not a good solution. The third one is that I'm going to de-emphasize the issue of the color of the money to the issue of the value of the money. And the value of the money is very important, because the money should be able to store wealth for people. When money can store wealth, people will have interest in holding that money. And when people hold your money, that is very good for your economy as a store of value. The fourth thing I'm going to do is to make sure that the alternative works. Remember, there are certain policies they've taken in this country. You cannot write a check above 10 million naira. Nigeria is the only country where a bill of exchange is limited like that. And that's because the central bank has partnership with some people who are making money from charging us from transfer. So they are forcing everybody to do money transfer. So there's so much pressure on the money transfer system. So if you send money at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the person may not get it until 3 or 4 days later, or sometimes at midnight. So this is wrong. I'm sure it has happened to many people. Someone will say, I'll send money to you. You say, I haven't seen it. There's no economy that can survive on that, because in a proper economic system, 1 hour delay of my money can cost me a lot. Then finally, I want to make sure that the core duty of the central bank, which is to control inflation, to manage the foreign exchange, to also ensure that there's a convergence between fiscal and monetary, to get me full employment in my economy. Those are the areas. I don't want you to mention politics 10 kilometers near where the governor of Central Bank is. That is what we are going to do in our government. But as for the politics of it, this is the season for it. People should just ignore that. The most important thing is that you need to have an economy that serve the people, eradicate poverty, and provide security in the country.
Thank you so much indeed, gentlemen. The presidential candidates of the SDP, Prince Adewale Adebayo, and the presidential candidate of the YPP, Prince Malik Ado Ibrahim. Interestingly, two princes on the program tonight. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
We're actually brothers.
Well, we take a break, everyone. And when we return, I promise you on Friday that I will be digging deep into some technical areas of this election. You saw what happened in Osun, the Governorship Election Tribunal. There are a lot of analysis that we need to do tonight. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the program. It's on the Politics on Channels Television. And so, from the Election Tribunal judgment of Friday in Osun governorship election, it brought a lot of questions to the fore, and people are asking the question, can we trust the BVAS? Where do we go from here? The interpretation that's been given to that judgment, and what the court said, that there was an overvoting relating to the final verdict that the former governor should be declared governor and a certificate of return be given to him. But now, it brings to the fore a whole lot of issues. Are you going to go to vote? It's important that you do that, and INEC has encouraged you to do so. There is a new deadline, away from the old deadline. Now there is a deadline of the 5th of February 2023 for you to go out there and cast a ballot. And you can't get to cast the ballot without getting your permanent voter card. All of a lot of issues tonight that we'll be bringing to you on the program. I have joining me someone who has a very deep experience and knowledge of our electoral process. Not only that, he was a senior INEC official, but a lawyer. I'm being joined by Mr. Mike Igene. Thank you so much, Mr. Igene, for joining
Sean,
us.
Thank you for
It's good to have you in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much. Yes. A lot of grounds for us to cover tonight. A lot of education and information for Nigerians as relating to our election. But look, this is a good news for Nigeria. We've seen INEC do this continuously. They reviewed the process and they have shifted the goalposts yet again in the advantage of Nigerians. Also, they will be doing a mock accreditation across the country, and they've selected areas where they will be doing this. It brings me to the question, the doubt that has come after that Osun election. What are your views, first and foremost, about the BVAS? Can we still trust the BVAS?
Thank you, Sheon. For me, I want to tell Nigerians that there's no time ever in the history of our struggle to have a better Nigeria through the electoral process, particularly the 10 years that I've spent in the commission before I left, that I have so much hope about the fact that whatever challenges we are going today will give us a promising tomorrow. On account of the BVAS, I will not go into details of what happened in Osun State with respect to the judgment. As you already have hinted, the election management body in the next few days will be doing a pilot test across the country. The BVAS will be used in the February election. So we must continue to talk. And of course, you know, since September last year, I have taken it up as a decision that having been part of helping to design this process, the BVAS that has brought tremendous energy of hope, integrity to our process, a system that have introduced electoral integrity to ensure that every vote of a Nigerian that is cast must be taken into account to determine who becomes what. Therefore, I want to tell Nigerians that don't lose sleep at all. Don't bother about whatever has happened, because I will give just one example.
using where I worked last. But first, I saw a picture you showed there showing, no, I'm talking about the corridor. You saw the corridor. From the corridor, that was the corridor. We now move to the, what you call the BVAS.
The Z-pad.
The Z-pad, all right? Now, in Akwa Ibom, I use this example so that people can understand how the BVAS work. Because civil society, INEC must continue to educate Nigerians on the use about the BVAS, the beauty, what it has brought to our system. And that is that in Akwa Ibom, the 2019 election, there was issue of overvoting in a constituency. Now, the question is, using that corridors at that time, which is now the BVAS, now talking about the BVAS, the primary source to determine under the regime of the BVAS, the primary source to determine overvoting will always be the BVAS. How? You use the BVAS to verify, authenticate, and confirm every voter by virtue of Section 47 of the Act. Now, at the end of the poll, a presiding officer under Section 60, subsection 4 and 5, is enjoined to sort out the ballot papers, enter the total number of accredited voters as recorded on the BVAS on the form EC8A. After signing, endorsement by party agent, duplicate will be given to party agents. Now, in that constituency in Akwa Ibom, because it's the same technology, but this one is an advanced form, where, for instance, on the BVAS, you have 150 accredited voters. That will be entered into the form EC8A, and the duplicate will be given, then also be replicated under form EC60E that must be pasted there. Now, the unique thing about the BVAS is that as the presiding officer is working, whenever he's idle, or at the time at the end of the poll where he's busy sorting and counting, the BVAS itself will be uploading the total number of accredited voters to the central server, to the cloud, straight away. Now, at the end of the poll, total number of accredited voters is now 150. By virtue of Section 51 of the current 2022 Electoral Act, that have now replaced or repealed the previous Section 153, where voting was computed based on total number of registered voters. Today, it is now based on those who actually came, irrespective of the total number of registered. The consequence of that is that, having entered that, a presiding officer under the current BVAS regime is expected to upload the total number of accredited voters. But meanwhile, I've told you that while the BVAS was idle, it has uploaded. So, for instance, using the example of Akwa Ibom I'm talking about, you have 150 on the from EC8A. 100 had been uploaded by the BVAS to the server. Now, the presiding officer, who ought to have now ensured at the end of the poll that you make sure that the entire 150 is uploaded, perhaps didn't do that. But if, for example, you now came forward, like what happened in Akwa Ibom, people came, they were asking for
the details of
that.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I call the operation. First, audit the corridor, which is now the BVAS. When you audit and you find out that everything that has actually been transmitted, then of course, I will now give you a report. So, but if I gave you a report of 100, if I gave you a report of 100, which was transmitted by the BVAS when it was idle, but I have failed to upload everything, if you look on the face of that document, report given to you, compare with the Form EC88 document given to the party agents that is having 150, prima facie, it will appear as if there's an overvoting. However, if my attention is drawn to that, what I need to do is to go to the primary source. Now, if you come to the primary source, you will find, and we found, that 50 VIN number, because every voter in Nigeria, you have your unique VIN number. 50 accredited individuals with their unique VIN number, unique to them, had not been uploaded. So if you now add that to the 100 that had been uploaded to the, what you call the central server, it will give you 100.
So let's look.
So you cannot say there's an overvoting here. So that is with respect to the BVAS. So as a closing remark on the BVAS, Nigerians, go and collect your PVC. This BVAS has brought something new. Nobody can bypass it. It's the primary source of anything that will happen on that day.
So if there is any foul play, it will be identified.
Absolutely. So it has shown accountability to the process.
In the case of Osun now, you see what the judgment came about, and I don't want us to discuss what is in court. But based on what the judgment of the court, which is being displayed here, there are deductions. Over 744, in 744 polling units have been identified, and this was being. So this is what really caused the fear for some Nigerians who thought that if this was identified by the court, couldn't there be any problem? Just briefly.
Very quickly, I can tell you that the BVAS, we know that people are going to attack the BVAS. You know, there are many people who don't even want to hear about BVAS. We know that. So I know that with this, what I've been reading the last comment in the last few days, most of us are totally uninformed. They are going to attack the BVAS. But the BVAS has come to stay. I am telling Nigerians that from what I know, every BVAS that has been whitelisted with the central server, if there is anything, you can go back and you'll find it's now the primary foundational source of any question about discrepancies with respect to total number of accredited voters.
So quickly also, and I want you to be very brief on this one. These are the figures that come out of INEC. 93 million, almost 94 million Nigerians have registered, and that's the figure we're taking into the election.
Correct.
But the breakdown shows that from the age of 18 to 35, we have 39.65%. From 35 years of age to 49, we have 35.7%. These two brackets are the largest. What does this distribution or this data tells us going into that election?
It shows to you that the youth of Nigeria will determine this coming election. In fact, if you display a pyramid there before then, it shows that because at the 176,846 polling unit, it will also be manned by the NYSC. Over 707 of them will now be the one to man 1,000, will now man the polling unit. Similarly, if you look at the register, one thing you must know about the register now is this. There are no longer bankable votes with this register anymore. At the end of every polling unit, a new register will be produced based on those who actually came. So all axes of electoral evil in Nigeria, where you rely on Section 53 and Section 49 of the Repeal Act, that for 20 years we fought for the repeal that have now been repealed. It is now game over. Because Section 47, Section 51 have taken over. So this register is clearly to show to you that no more bankable vote anymore. A new register will be produced in each of the polling units at the end of the poll. That is the implication of that register.
There is Senior Advocate Olisa Agbakoba and Mr. Waleolani Pekun, Senior Advocate. Both of them have put forward an argument about the state of the electoral law and how a presidential candidate can be. In fact, Olisa Agbakoba was on this program, and he said, look, there might be some issues here based on the provision of Section 34 of the Constitution of how a president can emerge from an election. highest number of votes cast, then secure 25% of votes cast into third of the 36 states, plus the FCT. What is the confusion? In the state governorship election also, we will have this kind of mathematics play out.
Right. Well, for presidential, it will seem that by virtue of that section 134 subsection 2, that beyond having 25% in 24 states because of the conjunction and the federal capital territory, it will mean that you cannot be declared a winner of a presidential election if you do not have 25% in the federal capital territory, which means you actually have to have 25% in 25 states. With respect to governorship, which is very important, in fact, what's this issue that have been thrown up, I mean, we worked all of these things out over time, is one of those issues we need to deal with. And that is that in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you see, to avoid the problem of 1979, where we have to be doing computation, I was very delighted that Olusegun Agbakuba deferred to INEC. So the data on the left you are seeing here, you could see that when you say 25% into third, what is the number of local government that you require that constitute to third in each of the states? So for Abia, you have 17 states, it has 11, that is 11.3. It has its fraction. Are we taking the upper limit or the lower limit? You can check all of this one. Now, this particular data table must be given to INEC to make that determination. Because what the law says, what does it actually mean? Mathematically, when you work it out, this is what you see. You are now seeing fraction. And in a highly contested election, how do you deal with this? It is the commission. It is the commission, not the court of law first,
that has the
that
prerogative
will have to do that. But however, if you look at the column on the right, it shows that out of the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 13 states, you do not have a problem with them at all. You now know that if a returning officer must be given this document when he is going to do his work to show that Adamawa State, where you have 21 local government, you need to 25% in 14 local government. In Borno State, where you have 27 local government, you only must score 25% in 18 local government, not 17, not 16, not 15. Anything below 18 is unconstitutional. If you go to Delta, for instance, no, Delta is on this side. All right? So for these 13 states, Oyo, Ondo, Kebbi, Jigawa, Imo, Imo State, you need 18 local government, 25% in 18 local government.
Before you can be declared governor.
Before you can be declared a governor. So everybody should know this now. But then this other one must be left for INEC to come up with a determination.
We need to go now. Your final word to a lot of Nigerians who are watching tonight.
Well, my final word to Nigerians is that go and collect your PVC. And that the whole embrace of democracy is essentially because it brings about participation and accountability in the process of human development. This election is one that I am so hopeful about, based on the 2023 Act, INEC process and procedure. On the pyramid you can see there, from the headquarters, state and local government, it is clear that the success of this election will be a reflection of our collective value, because it is actually Nigerians that actually conduct election. At the level of local government, that is where all INEC who are staff, that's where their responsibility ends on election day. So I call on Nigerians to say, go and pick your PVC. This election, I am seeing election that will not likely to go into a rerun. It's going to be straightforward because Nigerians are fired up.
Thank you so
much. They want to vote. There's anger in the land. There's hunger in the land. People have so many reasons why they want to vote. And it is my hope that they must keep dates with on the 25th of February and on the 11th of March, where they must build, have new leaders to build a society where there will be opportunity for all and responsibility.
It's indeed, there's a lot more to talk about, but it's indeed a pleasure having you around. We will definitely have some more time to speak about it. Thank you so much indeed for coming around.
Thank you.
Mr. Mike Egan, a former resident electoral commissioner with INEC. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. That's our show. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Bye for now.